Speaking of libs, a judge in Los Angeles has ruled on Thursday that the Los Angeles Police Department violated a court injunction by deploying 40mm and 37mm projectile launchers against protesters who, she says, did not pose an imminent threat. So the headline here is the police have been banned from using a powerful, non-lethal weapon to control protests in what the New York Post calls an extraordinary federal court decision. Judge Consuela B. Marshall, which is a confusing name. Consuela Marshall. Okay. That's like, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna make the joke. The joke can make itself. Consuela Marshall is an odd name. But Judge Consuela Marshall provided a ruling. She said that plaintiffs provided evidence that defendants, that the LAPD used these munitions that allegedly have already been banned, except in the case where there's physical threat being promulgated against the police. In other words, hey, you can't use these non-lethal launchers against protesters unless the protesters are posing an imminent threat to the cops, which, duh. Like, that's kind of, we all already know this. Thank you, Consuela. The problem is the video that she's talking about, there's clear video of the agitators throwing fireworks at the cops. So then the cops use those munitions in defense of had fireworks thrown at them. So like, this is like when Hakeem Jeffries, I think, a couple weeks ago said the dictator of Venezuela does not pose an immediate threat. An immediate threat to them is like, you've already been killed. Like, you've already been beaten or killed by the leftist crazy lunatic freaks. And then only then is it an immediate threat. Everything else is just, them throwing fireworks at you is not an immediate threat. It's just, a pretty massive threat to your physical safety and well-being. So there's that. Speaking of folks that are taking crazy pills, this I thought was hilarious. There's a guy that some people call Representative Fang Fang, and it's probably because he had an affair with a Chinese spy. But I don't call him Congressman Fang Fang, or at least intentionally. Sometimes there's a Freudian slip and it kind of slips out. But anyways, Congressman Fang Fang. Dang it, there it went again. I wasn't mean to call him that, Congressman Fang Fang. Congressman Eric Swalwell Fang Fang of California is running for governor. Now, there's a big problem, allegedly, with his campaign, according to a court complaint filed by one Joel Gilbert, who says that the lib from California, who's also serving in Congress, also had an affair with a Chinese spy, running for California governor is in violation of the rules because he doesn't live in California. The complaint says that the guy who is considered the most likely to be the successor to Governor Newsom, actually lives in Washington, D.C., which then prohibits him from running for the state's top job, the governor of California, under California law. Public records, according to this court complaint, says there's no current ownership or leasehold interest held by Eric Swalwell in California, nor any history of any ownership or land leasehold interest based on available public records. In other words, he can't prove that he lives in the state. Like, he can't show any sort of, hey, here's my lease, here's my water bill, here's a home that I own in the state of California. He's a representative from the state of California, but he's been in Congress since 2011, I think, and basically lives in Washington, D.C., and then he comes home to pretend that he's advocating for the people of California, but really he just lives in Washington, D.C. Swalwell's congressional financial disclosure, according to those complaints, from 2011 to 2024 list no California real estate ownership. Gilbert, the guy who filed the suit, also claims that his campaign's filing December 4th, the one saying, hey, I'm running for governor, actually lists the congressman's lawyer's house and not his own residence. Now, what's going to happen here is what always happens, and I'm just telling you what it's going to be, and maybe this is not, exactly popular with the people that don't like seeing this sort of stuff happen. Him and his attorney are going to backdate some lease agreement. Yeah, Eric Swalwell rents a bedroom in my house. And they're going to pretend that this is a thing, and the mainstream media is just going to sweep this under the rug. And unfortunately, that's probably just going to be how it is. Now, I hate that, but I'm just being realistic and honest about what is probably going to happen. But it is hilarious to think that Eric Swalwell, Congressman Congressman Swalwell, didn't think, oh shoot, somebody's going to look into the fact that I don't actually live in the state that I want to be the governor of. Which is hilarious. Speaking of other hilarious things that Congressman Fang Fang has said, there was a forum for the governor of California where a bunch of the lib crazy people running for the governor job in the nation's poopiest state got together, and Congressman Swalwell said some hilarious things. This is, what is this, Cut 11? This is that forum where he's talking about ICE and talking about what he's going to do as California governor, and was well within the governor's purview to be able to do. Cut 11.
They're going to lose their immunity. They're not going to be able to drive. I will take your driver's license. Good luck walking to work. Also, I will direct law enforcement to use every power to prosecute them for battery, false imprisonment, and murder. You know me. I'm not shy.
Yeah, you are an idiot, though. The presumptive governor of California, the guy leading in the polls to be the governor of the poopiest state in the country, thinks that he has powers that he clearly does not. Now, look, you could do all the prosecutorial stuff. Obviously, it falls under federal jurisdiction, so a local municipality can't prosecute the federal government for what is clearly within the federal government's rights. That's ridiculous on its face. But I think the funny part comes where he says, I'm going to take away their driver's licenses. Okay, so if somebody works for the federal government, the governor of the state is going to revoke their driver's licenses purely for political purposes. One, not constitutional. Two, it's probably illegal. Three, you just can't do that as a whole. Like, can he do that? If he can, might I suggest that governors of other states just start revoking licenses of anybody they want to? Because that's where this eventually would devolve to. Bottom line is, no, you can't do that, Congressman Fang Fang. And if, people know me, I'm not shy. Yeah. What's, better to stay silent, because it's better to be thought of a fool than known to be a fool. That applies specifically to Congressman Fang Fang.